Rising Damp is a classic British sitcom that aired from 1974 to 78. Created by Eric Chappell and starring Leonard Rossiter, Francis de la Tour, Richard Beckinsale, and Don Warrington, the series is set in a run-down Victorian townhouse rented by the miserly and scheming landlord Rigsby. The series is known for its sharp wit, clever writing, and memorable performances. However, it's also been the subject of some controversy and criticism for its portrayal of race and other social issues. Join Facts Verse UK as we present Rising Damp ended 45 years ago. Today the cast confirms the rumors. Rupert Rigsby. Rupert Rigsby, portrayed by Leonard Rossiter, is the central character of Rising Damp. He serves as the driving force behind much of the series' humor and plotlines. As the landlord of a dilapidated Victorian townhouse, Rigsby is responsible for maintaining the building and collecting rent from his tenants, although he often shirks his responsibilities and tries to cut corners. He's a complex character with many flaws. He's miserly, bigoted, and somewhat sleazy, often making inappropriate remarks or advances towards his female tenant, Miss Jones. But he's also deeply insecure and desperate for affection, which makes him somewhat sympathetic. Before Rising Damp, Rossiter had already established himself as a genuinely gifted actor with a wide range of roles in theater and television. But it was his portrayal of Rigsby in Rising Damp that made him a household name. His performance earned him widespread acclaim and 2 BAFTA nominations. Rossiter's career was cut short when he died unexpectedly of a heart attack in 1984 while waiting to go on stage for a performance of Joe Orton's Lute. Alan Moore. Alan Moore, played by Richard Beckinsale, is one of the main characters and serves as a contrast to the landlord Rigsby. He's a medical student, laid back, easygoing, and often the voice of reason. His character serves as a foil to Rigsby's more outrageous antics, providing a more grounded perspective and often getting the better of Rigsby in their interactions. He shares a room with Philip, and the two have a friendly and supportive relationships. Alan's character is important to the series as he provides a more youthful and modern perspective compared to Rigsby. The character also highlights some of the social changes occurring at the time, such as changing attitudes towards relationships, education, and authority. Beckinsale started his acting career in the late 60s with his first television appearance in ITV Playhouse in 1968. He gained considerable popularity and critical acclaim for his role as Lenny Godber in the BBC sitcom Porridge, alongside Ronnie Barker. Sadly, his life was cut short when he abruptly died of a heart attack March 19, 1979, at age 31. Miss Ruth Jones. Miss Ruth Jones, played by Francis de la Tour, is a central character and plays a pivotal role. She's a single woman, often described as a spinster, who lives in one of Rigsby's rented rooms. She's the object of Rigsby's affections, though she's largely disinterested in his advances and often seems oblivious to his intentions. Miss Jones is a somewhat naive and dreamy character, often caught up in her own world and aspirations. She has a soft spot for animals and is often seen with her cat Vienna. But she's not afraid to stand up for herself when necessary, and her interactions with Rigsby often lead to humorous situations. Francis de la Tour's television career took off in the 1970s with her role as Miss Ruth Jones. Her portrayal of the spinster and object of Rigsby's affection earned her widespread acclaim and a BAFTA TV Award nomination. After the show, she continued working in theater, film, and television. She won a Tony for her performance in The History Boys on Broadway in 2006 and reprised her role in the film adaptation later that year. She also appeared in the Harry Potter film series as Madame Olympe Maxime, headmistress of Beauxbaton's Academy of Magic. Philip Smith. Philip Smith, portrayed by Don Warrington, is another central character. Philip is a suave and sophisticated character who claims to be the son of an African chief, a claim often met with skepticism by Rigsby. Philip shares a room with Alan, and the two have a friendly and supportive relationship. Philip's character plays a crucial role as he often serves as a foil to Rigsby's more bigoted and narrow-minded views. Rigsby is both in awe of and suspicious of Philip, often making racist remarks or questioning Philip's background. Despite this, Philip usually remains composed and uses his wit and intelligence to outmaneuver Rigsby. Philip's character also highlights the racial tensions and prejudices present in Britain during the 1970s. His interactions with the other characters, particularly Rigsby, provide an opportunity to explore these themes in a humorous and insightful way. Don Warrington gained widespread recognition for the role, one he reprised in the 1980 film adaptation of the series. After Rising Damp, he continued to work extensively in television, film, and theater. He appeared in series like Doctor Who, Death in Paradise, and Manhunt. He also worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company and the National Theatre, earning acclaim for performances in plays like King Lear and All My Sons. Controversy. Rising Damp aired in the 1970s, when societal norms and attitudes towards race and other social issues were quite different from today. The series features several instances of racially based language and humor, primarily directed at Philip Smith. Rigsby often makes racist remarks or questions Philip's background and credibility. While these comments are usually met with a witty retort from Philip or are shown to be baseless and ridiculous, they nonetheless reflect the casual racism prevalent in society at the time. The use of racially based language and humor in Rising Damp has led to some controversy and criticism in recent years. Some viewers argue the series perpetuates harmful stereotypes and normalizes racist attitudes. Others say the series is simply a product of its time and should be viewed within its historical context. Ultimately, it is a classic of British television, but not without its flaws, and it's important to have honest conversations about its portrayal of race and other issues. The cast's reactions. The cast have expressed a range of opinions about the show in the years since it aired. Leonard Rossiter passed away in 1984, only a few years after it ended, so there is limited information about his reflections on the show. But during and immediately after the show's run, Rossiter often spoke positively about his experience working on the show and was proud of the work he and his fellow cast members did on the series. Frances de la Tour has had a long and successful career, and in interviews, she has spoken positively about her time on the show as well. But she has expressed some reservations about the portrayal of her character and the show's treatment of gender and race. Don Warrington has also had a successful career and has spoken about the challenges of being a black actor in the UK during the 70s and the limited roles available to him at the time. While he has acknowledged that Rising Damp was a product of its time and reflected the attitudes of the era, he's also expressed pride in his work on the show and the impact it had on his career. Richard Beckinsale passed away at age 31, but before his death, he spoke positively about his experience working on the show. So the cast have expressed a mix of pride and reservation about their work on the show. While they acknowledge the series' flaws and the limitations of its portrayal of race and gender, they also recognize the impact it had on their careers and the affection with which it's still held by many fans. Now it's time to hear from you. Should we still watch shows like Rising Damp in light of the changes in modern society? Let us know in the comments section below.